Hello everyone, and welcome back to the history of the Jebus dynasty, where last time we saw Emperor Latebird push the outer boundaries of the Roman Empire with the goal to completely recapture all that was once part of the ancient Roman Empire. Now, at the age of 49, he had done much to restore the realm, but there were still many regions to be conquered, and so we continue that with today's story. First on the Emperor's list of targets would be to return once more to Narava, on which Flame would declare war for the Duchy of Castile. The opening battle of this war was a great slaughter at Logrono, where for the loss of 101 men, Emperor Latebird destroyed all 26,000 Navarian defenders. Then with the fall of the enemy capital and the capture of the enemy heir, victory was declared soon after. This was the final step that Latebird needed to usurp the kingdom of Navarre itself. Fortunately, Queen Alida was also the Queen of Leon, and so managed to keep her fragmented kingdom together. Next, Latebird would move south, declaring war to restore the imperial province of Algunac. The opening battle of this war was fought at Tagawist, in which 8,000 defenders were killed, for the loss of only 22 imperial soldiers. With Ireland now secure from his previous campaigns, the new imperial province of Hibernia was established. And after besieging the enemy castles, very quickly Emir Hassim was forced to surrender. The only holdout on the Atlantic Isles was Coran of Madeira, so once again war was declared. This war lasted a mere 4 months before the enemy Holy Army was destroyed and their one castle captured. The new lands now entering Roman control. Next, Latebird would return to the east to restore the imperial province of Vassbrucken, currently held by the Majid Sultanate. First battle of this new war would be fought at Turabaran, where 30,000 of the Majid Sultan's troops were destroyed for the loss of only 1,800 Romans and Knights Templar. Second battle at Kub was a similar disaster for Majid's forces, losing 23,000 men. And after a series of sieges, the Majid Sultan was forced to relinquish his last pieces of Roman territory. With many truces tying down his ability to continue to wage war, Latebird took a break from the fighting and turned to the university at the Vaticano. During his break studying at university, another peasant revolt broke out. 22nd of April 1368, Latebird's second son and heir, Prince Jebus, came of age. Jebus was Midas-touched, having been generous, just and diligent. He was also a genius, handsome and robust. Same time his twin sister Wildcard turned 16. Like her brother, she was a genius, pretty and robust, also being just, ambitious and compassionate. She turned out to be a brilliant strategist, complementing her brother. Peasant uprising ended after just 57 days of fighting, the elite Roman troops massacring the disorganized mob. While Jebus was betrothed to the young Farida, Wildcard would be married in a grand wedding to Johanna Aldecor, a noted genius. And during this grand wedding to his daughter, the Jebus dynasty became known as a renowned name, making it easier to hire their knights. Even at the age of 53, Mirka proved his value as a combatant, When two of his knights started arguing, he defeated the strongest in single combat. But with the festivities over, Latebird would return to his reconquest, turning once more to Armenia, the last holdout being the Principality of Vasbruken. As normal, the opening battle was simply a slaughter, the entire Armenian army being destroyed for the loss of only 16 men. Then as the imperial cannons were turned on the Armenian capital and despot Eugonus' son captured, the war was brought to an end within 4 months. The new despotate of Armenia was granted to Latebird's grandson Army, and with that, the eastern borders were reclaimed. As Latebird was preparing for war with Leon, Pope called for a grand crusade against the Majid Sultanate. Ever honouring his ancestors, Latebird pledged his troops for this new war. Hoping to get the war against Leon out of the way quickly, Latebird declared war on the 4th of August, wanting to seize the Duchy of Leon itself. Time a critical factor, Latebird moved immediately to seize the enemy capital at Viscay, and with the slaughter of the Leon army at Astray, victory could be declared within 5 months. Kingdom of Leon was then usurped. However, Queen Adelaida kept what was left of her kingdom together as the Kingdom of Castile. To disrupt the Castilian forces, the new lands was handed to King Joffrey, a Jebus relation to Latebird and the husband of Queen Adela. He would swear fealty, and this would put the Castilian queen in an awkward position. And after a lifetime managing the entirety of the growing Roman Empire, Latebird became known as an overseer. Having mastered the way of warfare, Latebird would dedicate the rest of his life to studying medicine, hoping to live long enough to see the borders of the Roman Empire whole once more. And on the 29th of October, the Crusade was called. The opening battle of the war, Latebird led his elite troops to engage an army at the slaughter of Amida, where 15,000 enemies were killed for the loss of just 500. And a massive battle was fought at Tatvan, which 50,000 Muslims engaged Latebird's isolated army, but the 10,000 imperial troops won the day, slaughtering 26,000 enemy. This was followed by another battle shortly after, in which 21,000 Muslim reinforcements were isolated and cut down. Shortly after the war was ended, Latebird's brother-in-law, King Adalbert, was given the crown for Latebird's critical role in the war. And with that, the kingdom of Jazira was now a friendly Christian kingdom on the borders of the Roman Empire, with the only lands that he still wanted in Castile being out of his reach due to a truce. Latebird decided to take off on a grand tour of his empire. During this tour, he would visit 10 despots and all of his powerful vassals, intent to promote culture and intimidate any who would wish to join factions. During his tour, another peasant revolt broke out. The peasant army evaded the imperial troops for 5 months before being caught near the city of Roma and destroyed. During this tour, Jebus Dynasty earned great respect, furthering their glory. And so the grand tour came to an end. Having spent years on the road, Latebird had successfully cowed many of his vassals, gained glory, and earned himself the title of Magnificent Liege for the next 20 years. After that grand tour, still feeling healthy at the age of 59, Latebird turned once again to Castile. This time he would declare a war to seize all the Eure lands. He had enough claims to now be able to push for the entirety of the remainder of Castile. Just as this war was breaking out, Latebird's third son army was brought into the court by the Duchess of Ulster. Grim news, Army had been roughhousing with the Duchess's 4-year-old son and had killed him, Army showing a sadistic streak. Ever just, Latebird surrendered Army to the Duchess's prison. He would spend his 16th birthday in prison, a fortune builder, but otherwise a sadistic, if just, black sheep of the family. The final battle of the war was fought at Anjou, as Latebird, the brilliant strategist, masterfully forded the river, surprising the 15,000 Castilians and slaughtering them for the loss of only 29, bringing the war to an abrupt end. And with that, the Roman province of Gallica was brought back into the fold. But it is there, in late November of 1376, that we leave our story. We have followed the Jebus dynasty throughout the ages, from King Doctor to his son King Trisky, on to King Osborne, Queen Lithium, Queen Muzz, King Muzz, Emperor Mace, Emperor Merca the Blessed, Emperor Candy the Anointed, Emperor Flame the Ecumenist, and now finally Emperor Latebird. Succession was safe, with Judas betrothed and ready, multiple male heirs to the line. The empire had grown from its humble beginnings with Norman adventurers in Sicily, growing to a kingdom that spanned the Mediterranean, then seizing the Holy Roman Empire before reuniting the East and the West of the Roman empires, reclaiming the old imperial territory and pushing even further. Territories that stretched from the Caspian Sea to the Atlantic, from Iceland in the north to Egypt in the south, from Hibernia and Iberia in the west to the Russian foothills in the east. The empire was unstoppable, and the Jebus name would go down in history as the greatest of its age. But we stop there now, as the expansion of the empire had come to a close. Latebird, realizing, as Augustus had before him, that further expansion would just doom the empire, which was already teetering on the edge of constant civil war. And so, without the constant expansion, the Roman Empire ceased to be a story of the Jebus family and began to move on to being the nation-state that it would become. But that is all a story for a very different series. I hope you have all enjoyed this delve into the history of the great Jebus dynasty, and I hope to speak to you all again in the future. Until then, thank you very much for watching, and farewell.